Nvidia is rolling out a brand new technology that they hadn't told us about yet. You want the ultimate gaming monitor? By George, we have it, and Microsoft goes back on their word and potentially is giving us Thunderbolt. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your host, Brett. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news that's on the internet, and I just want to say up front that our editor, Catlin, is taking this entire week off, which means that it's your boy editing these videos, and I'm just sorry. I'm sorry for the lack of meme quality. I'm sorry for just my not sense of humor that she very clearly has and does everything to take these episodes to the next level. I'm going to do my best, okay? So just let me know what you're having for breakfast as a way of reassuring me that everything else in the world is normal, even when we don't have an editor here at Hot News, all right? And is the world normal when Nvidia doesn't announce a feature, but a game developer does? Elder Scrolls Online are giving us Nvidia's DLAA technology, deep learning anti-aliasing, which would allow them to get better visual fidelity using Nvidia's deep learning process, where they submit the game to a giant neural network that processes all the data and then spits back out. Here, this is how the trained robot will do things with your video game. This is essentially getting all of the benefits of the crystal clear, super sharp image without any of the super sampling that's necessary, so you don't have to upscale it. This will work great on games that already have high frame rates at respectable resolution, so things that don't have tons of demand. It's just going to allow it to sharpen up the video game quality in a decent way. I'm actually a fan of this. This makes a ton of sense that DLAA would be a thing and could potentially be updated on older games that don't necessarily need the super sampling, especially if they're easier to run. What do you think of DLAA? Let me know down in the comments. I'm gonna let you know what I think of this AU Optronics 85-inch 4K panel, 240 hertz, my friends. This is the best gaming monitor that you could possibly ever want. Number one, gigantic, fits into your living room, potentially, maybe not, all right? It's a massive bad boy. 4K, you don't need much above that. 240 hertz, absolutely beautiful. Now, the issue with this is display connection standards haven't caught up with anything like this technology. HDMI 2.1 can only do 4K at 144 without display stream compression, and DisplayPort 2.0 could do it, but that's not officially out yet. So there's not a whole lot on the AU Optronics monitor at this point. It's not officially out. It's not even a price, really. I would expect that this would go into the thousands of dollars, and I expect it to be very niche. But 4K 240 at 85-inch actually does sound wonderful for my living room. You know what, AUO Optronics, if you're listening to this video, potentially, somehow, I'll do a video over on UFD Tech. You just slap me one of those bad boys. It'll replace my 75-inch 8K TV, okay? I don't need 8K. I'll take 4K 240. Yeah, please. Thank you. And Intel says they don't need no patents. All right, they had patents. Who else could have potentially patents for FinFET technology? Well, turns out a Chinese company absolutely did, according to yet another ruling indicating that Intel may have violated patents from a Chinese company with the FinFET technology ever since they rolled out their Ivy Bridge processors back in 2011. This is not the first time that this patent has been disputed by the China Patent Reexamination Board. In fact, this is the 6th challenge that Intel has lost regarding this, and with Intel saying the decision is subject to appeal, and Intel looks forward to the court's balanced consideration of Intel's invalidity challenges to the asserted patent, with Intel's challenge to this basically saying that the patent that these Chinese companies bringing forward is not legitimate, therefore they could have no claims over what Intel's doing here, which has been found true in a few cases, but not all of the cases that Intel's challenging here, so it likely looks like the decision will actually stand against Intel, and there might be some sort of injunction or embargo against them being able to sell their Intel processors that use FinFET technologies in China at this point. We'll keep you posted as that develops, because Intel obviously not going down with it, a multi-million-dollar fight. And you know how they got those millions? Not through Cryptostonks, because they made it before that, but it's time for the Cryptostonks update. Bitcoin down ever so slightly, 2.3% lower on the day, $47,000 where it's at. It's still up over the week. It's down a little over the month, and it's definitely up over the year. Ethereum down 3% as well to $3,300. Dogecoin also down 3.5% to 23 cents. GameStop down on Friday to 0.68% lower, and it's closed at 204.97. AMC also sliding a little bit, down 4% on the Friday, with it being at 44.20 right now. And yes, I did say 420, which is a perfect segue for us talking about Tesla, because it actually seems like for the one time in Elon Musk's history, he's been on time with a deadline that he said himself. Full self-driving beta V10 came out on September 10th to the people who already had the beta. That's number one. He actually made that deadline. Number two, he's continuing to say that the full self-driving beta button should be available for everybody who's paid for it come this Friday, September 24th, which is again remarkable. However, he is caveating that you have to be a good driver. Okay, beta button will request permission to assess driving behavior using Tesla Insurance Calculator. If driving behavior is good for 7 days, beta access will be granted. So it's not necessarily you paid the $5,000 to $10,000 to actually get access to this technology. Since it's still in beta, they can give you a qualifier being like, yeah, we know you paid, but you got to wait your turn. All right, unless you drive like a granny, you're not allowed to be in our program. Obviously, this is likely coming as a result of the further investigations that the NHTSA and the NTSB have into Tesla and their autopilot and full self-driving technologies, making them a little bit more cautious, especially as they're just rolling out this beta to a lot of people who may start to not paying attention, especially since it doesn't require the force feedback on the wheel. This could lead to a lot more headlines of things like somebody who actually had full self-driving accidentally killing a pedestrian. That's entirely possible, and with it being in beta, they definitely need to make sure that that's actually not going to happen, because the person behind the wheel would actually realize that they're still supposed to be driving. I'm hoping that this comes out on Friday. I do understand why they make it so that you have to pass some sort of like good driving test, but at the same time, people paid for this technology. You lied to them, Elon. You said that full self-driving was supposed to be coming out this year. For how many years? Still hasn't happened. Tesla also getting rid of their referral program though, which would allow people to get supercharger miles if they referred you using their Tesla link. That way you get free charging. I would get free charging if you happen to use my link. They've gotten rid of that, so that's no longer effective. The only referral program they now have is for Tesla Solar. At one point, Tesla's referral program used to be a bit more robust, where you could get things such as a surfboard, or even at one time they were giving away the next gen roadsters for the people who had, I think it was like 50 or 55 referrals, which several influencers such as MKBHD, Andy Sly, and a whole bunch of others were able to mass that amount and make it so that they got not just one, but several Tesla roadsters that are going to be free and coming into them. Tesla killed that because they, it's a lot of money. 80 roadsters at $250,000 a pop is like 20 million bucks. It's absolutely crazy. And at the time that they killed it, Tesla had a lot more cash flow issues than I think they're currently experiencing. But according to Electrek and their sources with Tesla, there might be a new referral program that's going to be debuting in a matter of time with Tesla. Who knows exactly what's going on? But we do know what's going on with SpaceX and the Inspiration4 crew capsule that went up into orbit, with the first private orbital flight actually happening, and they have now actually landed here back on Earth as of roughly 7 p.m. Eastern time. You see the splashdown of the capsule right there. This marks a historic moment in the era of spaceflight, especially now with not just having trained astronauts going to space, having people who have millions of dollars being able to do it. It's definitely a little bit different. And on the other side of SpaceX's business plan is the Starlink internet that they've rolled out, with Elon Musk saying that it should come out of beta sometime in October, which is not quite the August that he initially quoted, but it does seem like it's actually being pretty effective. They've already shipped over 100,000 units, and seems like they're actually going to make the getting out of beta target, which is great, because not every company can do that, even when they fully launch stuff. I don't know who I could possibly be talking about. Stadia is now officially supporting 11 more Samsung devices. That has nothing to do with a company releasing a product that shouldn't have been. Here's the list. I keep bringing up Stadia news simply for the fact that when it dies, you'll at least be able to be like, oh yeah, Brett's continued to talk about them. And instead of being like, who? What's Stadia? I want to remind you, just so that their downfall is even more sweet. Nothing against the people who actually work at Stadia, but it was a flawed premise to begin with. They aren't able to execute, and it's time to put it down.
I know, Mama. He was my dog. I'll do it.
Is it time to stop when it comes to Ethernet cables? Because Asus is rolling out the ROG branded CAT 710 gig network cables. Look at those bad boys with the hot pink that's going on right there. You can get a couple different sizes, 1.5 meters, 3 meters. That'll come for a price of $22, $37. Look at this. It comes with a little Velcro strap so that you can kind of hold it together for that 37 bucks, which is it's a little bit expensive for a 10 gig network cable. But I do agree with this one commenter here. No RGB? Pass! Get that weak crap out of my face, Asus. RGB Cat 7 cables are bust. And it turns out that Surface Pro 8 might have Thunderbolt ports, not bust. What? That's a bad segue, Brett. Don't use words that don't make sense together. There's a leak that came out showing that the Surface Pro 8 might also have 120 hertz support on the panel, which is something that people actually want. There's been reports coming out from The Verge indicating that the Surface Pro 8 wouldn't have USB-A, it'll have USB-C, and potentially Thunderbolt with 120 hertz displays. The issue that I have with this is that this leak, while it's like intriguing and it's getting everybody excited, it's just Microsoft doesn't like Thunderbolt ports. Like the Surface Laptop 4 didn't have Thunderbolt ports. You know why? Because they say it's bad for security. So they all of a sudden changed their tune on the Surface Pro 8. I'm not, what, really? That gives me a little bit of pause. Are they changing their tune, or is it just that it's not Thunderbolt, but it's 40 gigabit per second USB-C? We'll have to wait and see, since the next gen Microsoft event is going to be happening this coming Wednesday. And what's already happening is Nvidia slipping you something into your RTX 3060. You think you have an RTX 3060 in your RTX 3060? Think again, baby. You got an RTX 3070 Ti in there, all right? GA104 dies are now being found to be put into the RTX 3060. This is likely just because they have more faulty dies and they're actually able to slot them in at the GTX 3060 price point, where they're still working perfectly effective with the amount of cores that they have. So it's not necessarily something brand new. It's not really a huge report, but just RTX 3060s might be a little different out there on the internet. This used to be a big deal back in the day when like this would happen, where there was like a cut down core being put in these GPUs, and then there was like a firmware hack that you could do to unlock that bad boy, and then you'd be good to go and you get a faster card for a cheaper price. But it seems like our days of having that happen are long behind us, which this episode of Hot News is now long behind us as well. You should go check out Friday's episode where we talked about how AMD might consider switching over to making ARM chips. That's a huge revelation. I'll see you tomorrow for breakfast, my friends. Hopefully I figure out how to edit videos again so that it's not as crunchy as today was. See you tomorrow. Cheers.